Rebels in Syria's southern province of Daraa are reinforcing their defences, fearing that they are next in line for government troops as reconnaissance planes have started to fly overhead. Daraa is seen as the cradle of the Syrian revolution, an uprising that began in 2011. Over 7 years later, the country has been crippled by war. This week, donor countries have gathered in Brussels for their 7th annual summit, aimed at getting funds to help the war-torn country and also to try and breathe new life into any peace process. Dave Keating is following that for us and is standing by now to bring us the latest. Dave, one day down, one to go. Is it mostly monetary pledges that those gathered are looking for?
Well, yeah, we're in the second day of this summit. Yesterday was a dialogue with the aid organizations. Those are the organizations actually on the ground delivering the aid. But of course, they don't have the power of the purse. They can't make the decisions about how much money is going to be spent. So today is dedicated to those high-level political talks. Foreign ministers and other delegates will be arriving here at the European Council building in Brussels shortly, and they will be making decisions about how much money to spend. What we did hear yesterday was just how dire the situation is. This war is now in its 8th year. Up to 12 million people have been displaced, both within Syria and outside Syria. It's basically a country that will need to be rebuilt. And so we heard about the scale of the challenge yesterday. Perhaps the most evocative illustration was when an international refugee agency set up an exhibit outside the European Council building here, showing what a classroom looks like right now in Syria. It was lacking infrastructure, didn't have complete walls, and most importantly, out of 3 desks, 1 desk was empty. That's because 1 out of every 3 children in Syria right now are not in school. So the challenge is very big, and political leaders coming here this morning are going to know that.
Yeah, a dire humanitarian situation, Dave, and adding to that is an increasingly complicated political one that, is even preventing some of that humanitarian aid to get to the people in need.
Yeah, the hope here today, the big headline figure that people would like to see pledged, they want to see more than 7 million euros pledged. But frankly, even if they met that goal, it won't do any use if that money can't get to people on the ground. And that money can't get to people on the ground unless there's a political solution, unless there's peace. So that's the dual track focus that people here will be looking at today, not only trying to get countries to stump up more money, but also to try to agree a plan for peace that will enable that money to be dispersed. Now, that's complicated by the fact that the US and the EU, to an extent, do not want to give any funding to a Syrian government that is only presided over by President Assad. They want a power-sharing government as a prerequisite to dispensing any of this aid to a government. And so those are going to be the tense talks happening here, particularly with Russia, which supports President Assad, during the course of today.
Okay, Dave, for now, thanks indeed for that. Dave Keating there reporting for us from Brussels, where that Syrian donor conference has been ongoing and is in its 2nd day this Wednesday.